Young Turks now has audio, the TYT Audio Network, podcasts of some of your favorite shows and new shows, including one with Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator. She's going to do We the People with Nina Turner, talking about equality and justice and seeing that through the eyes of regular Americans who are affected by politics and policy. Everybody check it out at tyt.com/audio.
There's a video that state-run television and media in North Korea keeps playing over and over again following the summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong Un in Singapore. That video features Donald Trump saluting a North Korean general. Now, I actually didn't know this, but our president is not supposed to salute members of the military for any other country. It's considered disrespectful. US presidents generally salute US service members, and it makes sense when you think about it. Now, this video that we're about to show you, again, is being run over and over again in North Korea, and you'll understand why. Take a look. So when I first saw that, I saw it all over the news this morning and I was like, I don't care. But it did remind me of something that's important. First of all, before this meeting was even gonna take place, he was asked, Donald Trump was asked, have you been preparing for this? He's like, I don't need to prepare. It's all about attitude. It's about touch. It's what I do.
And he said, I've been preparing my whole life. Yeah, I know, you're practicing whether you salute other soldiers, especially soldiers of a dictatorial government that runs concentration camps, and by the way, is also communist. But I've been preparing my whole life. You've been preparing for nothing, you schmuck. So, first of all, that propaganda video put out by North Korea was hilarious on a couple of different fronts. You got a little snippet of it there. The rest of it was like this person like screaming with joy, like, I don't know, of course, what she was saying, but like, Donald Trump did everything we wanted him to do, ha ha, right? That's what it sounded like. So I remember Obama got criticized when he once gave a salute with a coffee in his hand.
Right.
Because he had coffee and there was a Marine, I believe it was, and he wanted to salute the Marine. So like Fox News, I guess, wanted him to like throw the coffee like in the middle of the tarmac and then salute, right? But Fox News is going nuts over this. They're like, hey, how could he possibly salute a general of a country led by a dictator?
No. I love the comparisons to Obama's mistakes because Obama made a couple mistakes when it came to saluting, okay? So that coffee mug thing certainly did get a lot of criticism. And then there was a situation back in 2009 that Obama got a lot of hate for. In 2009, during his first visit to Japan as a president, Obama bowed deeply from the waist when greeting the Japanese emperor, eliciting criticism from conservatives who said the gesture projected weakness on the world stage. Okay, let's hold on for a second. Trump just gave away all the goodies before getting a concrete nuclear deal from North Korea. I would argue that that's weak, but you know, conservatives are happy with what's going on. And by the way, I think overall people are happy that this is a diplomatic approach, and I get that, but Trump was not a good negotiator so far. He might be in the future, in future meetings, we'll see. But my favorite Trump tweet, there's always a Trump tweet from years ago that connects to a current modern day story. Trump said this, the amateur, first Barack Obama was caught bowing to the Saudi king, but now the president of Mexico. I don't even know if that was true.
Of course it wasn't true. He didn't, there's no tradition in Mexico of bowing.
That's so true.
So look, what I can't stand is the hypocrisy of, yes, both sides, but yes, Republicans do it way, way worse. Okay, so in our case, I don't care that he saluted the general. I just don't care, who cares? It has no effect at all, right? If Obama had done it, I'd say, look, I guess he shouldn't have done it, who cares? Trump does the same exact thing, right? Now for conservatives, they're like, he bowed to the Saudi. I showed you at the time when we were on the air when Obama did the thing with Japan and Saudi Arabia. Then I showed you pictures of George Bush and the Saudi king making out. Okay, they didn't make out, but almost. They held hands.
hands.
And they walked around his so-called ranch, which was fake. He sold it the minute that the presidency was over. It was never real. The press never called him out on that. He was just playing games. But anyway, he held hands with the Saudi king, and then I think they might have kissed on the cheeks or something.
Oh my God.
And I don't know which parts they touched. Anyway, but the conservatives are like, way to make out with the Saudis. That is strong leadership. Obama bowed to the Saudis. And then Trump, his first visit is to Saudi Arabia, not to Canada and Mexico, which is traditionally the first visit of the president. And they're like, way to go bow to the Saudis first. Genius move, always thinking. Obama, coffee in his hand. Trump salutes a dictator's general. They're like, ha, bravo! Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize. Just come on, man. Sean Hannity, how often do you vomit in your own mouth while doing your show? Because the way he kissed Trump's ass, he would have pilloried Obama. If Obama went and met with Kim Jong Un and got nothing, there was a vague promise of later, North Korea will denuclearize. How? Nothing. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Are we going to verify? Nope, I'm not going to. Trump tweeted, I can't believe Obama's not verifying. He got nothing. And Hannity's like, oh, Donald Trump. You want to talk about bowing? That's what all Fox News does. So I'm so sick of it. This is not like the salute itself is not important. The hypocrisy surrounding it is what drives me crazy.
Right, I totally agree with you. If there weren't that angle of hypocrisy and also Trump's claims that he didn't need to prepare because he was preparing his own whole life, it doesn't matter. It was a mistake. He didn't know what he was doing. He usually doesn't know what he's doing. I would give him a pass if he were any other president who does actually do his homework.
But that's last thing. That's why they prepare the president for protocols. Now, if you're a plumber and you don't know what to do with a North Korean general, fine, right? If you just won the presidency and you don't know what to do with a North Korean general or the Queen or the Pope, fine. But you know what responsible adults do? They go, hey, what's the protocol when I go to meet the Queen? Am I supposed to curtsy? Whatever that is, right? Do I ride the Pope Mobile or do I not ride the Pope Mobile? I want to be respectful of other people without hurting our own country's stature.
That's right.
Okay, that's what a smart, responsible person does. They do just a little bit of homework. Trump's like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. Ha ha! And Hannity's like, bravo, way to not study, you jackass. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.